Ladies and gentlemen, there are gifts that sparkle with generosity, tokens wrapped in beauty, and blessings offered with a smile, but not all that glitters is grace. There is a peculiar danger in accepting what appears harmless. A serpent, after all, does not always hiss. Sometimes it whispers. Today I bring to your attention 5 such whispers, 5 seemingly innocent gifts, often overlooked, often welcomed, that witches and deceivers use to steal your blessings, divert your path, and obscure your soul's light. We must not imagine witches only as broom-flying caricatures. The truly dangerous ones wear charm like perfume, and their magic is not cast with wands, but with influence, suggestion, and spiritual transaction. Their craft is not always conscious. Sometimes they are merely vessels of something darker, smiling while their words bleed you dry. Let me warn you of 5 such harmless gifts. There is an ancient deception that thrives in the form of generosity. It wears a smile, extends a hand, and offers what seems like kindness, a gift, a gesture, something small wrapped in silk or carried in words. And yet beneath its surface a shadow lingers. Not all gifts are innocent. We are conditioned to receive with gratitude, to see no danger in the giving of a thing. In a world that praises generosity, we rarely pause to ask, what spirit lies behind this offering? But discernment is not suspicion. It is wisdom sharpened by experience and lit by truth. The most dangerous gifts are not the ones we reject, but the ones we accept without question. Gifts have power, not merely because of what they are, but because of what they carry. Every act of giving is an exchange, not just of matter, but of meaning. In ancient traditions, to accept a gift was to accept relationship, influence, even covenant, and so it remains, though modern minds scoff. Something as simple as a bracelet passed from hand to hand may become a channel for intent. Something as innocent as a book, a statue, or a handmade charm might carry residue, emotions, attachments, unseen strings. The danger lies not in the object itself, but in the unseen hand behind it. Witches, whether literal or metaphorical, understand this principle well. They need not cast elaborate spells. A smile, a well-timed gift, a small token wrapped in sentimentality, these are their tools. If a blessing can be bestowed through a gesture, then so can a curse. But a curse that comes dressed as kindness is rarely resisted. The victim embraces it, wears it, treasures it, unaware that something precious is being siphoned in return. One of the most insidious aspects of this kind of gifting is the spiritual binding it initiates. When we receive something from someone, especially someone we feel connected to, our soul often softens toward them. Gratitude lowers our defenses. We welcome them into our spiritual field. If the giver's intent is pure, this is harmless, even beautiful. But if the giver is envious, manipulative, or spiritually compromised, that door becomes an entry point. A hidden cord is tied, and through it blessings can be drained, peace disturbed, clarity clouded. There is also a certain pride that can be stirred through giving. A gift, especially one that flatters or indulges the ego, can awaken vanity. And in vanity, we loosen our grip on humility, which is the very ground on which our blessings rest. A clever deceiver doesn't need to take your blessing, only to make you surrender it, one piece at a time, through your own pride, your own indulgence. So we must not assume all giving is good. To be discerning is not to be fearful, it is to be awake. Ask not only what is being given, but what is being asked in return. For sometimes the most harmless-looking gift is the most subtle form of theft. Flattery is a subtle art, often cloaked in charm and delivered with a smile. It masquerades as kindness, but its aim is rarely as innocent as it appears. Unlike encouragement, which uplifts with truth, flattery seeks to control. It whispers to the ego, not to strengthen the soul, but to weaken it, making the recipient more pliable, more open, more dependent on the approval of the flatterer. There is something almost surgical about how flattery works. It identifies the places where we are most insecure or most proud, and it feeds them, not to nourish, but to inflate. Many who use flattery do so deliberately. Witches, whether in the literal or symbolic sense, are masters of this craft. They do not need potions or cauldrons to ensnare. They only need a well-timed compliment, spoken with just enough intensity to be believable and just enough sweetness to be disarming. It may be a word about your talent, your beauty, your insight, anything you already wish to believe about yourself. The moment you drink it in without discernment, a door opens. Your guard lowers, your hunger for approval grows, and without realizing it, you begin to dance to the rhythm of someone else's intent. But not all flattery is conscious. Some offer it not as a weapon, but as a habit, unaware of the power their words carry. Even then, the effect can be just as corrosive. When we grow addicted to praise, especially praise that exceeds the truth, we become deaf to correction. We begin to perform rather than to be. And slowly, without even noticing, we exchange authenticity for applause. Blessings tied to our purpose begin to unravel because we are no longer walking the path we were called to. We are walking the path that pleases others. Flattery becomes most dangerous when it comes from someone who envies what you carry. Their words seem to celebrate you, but deep down they resent your light. Their praise is not admiration. It is a mask for their bitterness. They speak well of you, but in private they hope for your fall. When this kind of person flatters you, their words are not gifts. They are snares. They wrap you in silk, but beneath the silk is a rope. And if you are not careful, that rope becomes a leash. There is also the spiritual dimension that is rarely discussed. When flattery is accepted uncritically, it can create an invisible agreement. The one who flatters elevates themselves in your eyes, gaining influence over your thoughts and decisions. You start to value their opinion, trust their voice, lean toward their suggestion. What was once a casual compliment becomes a subtle manipulation. Over time, your will is no longer fully your own. Discernment, then, is not about rejecting every kind word. It is about testing the spirit behind the speech. Not every sweet word is sweet in intent, and not every admirer is truly on your side. Some come bearing praise, but it is poisoned praise designed not to strengthen your spirit, but to soften it for the take. There is a tendency in the modern world to treat objects as lifeless, neutral things, mere materials with no deeper meaning beyond their function. But this is a dangerous assumption. Across cultures and centuries, wise men and women have understood that objects can carry more than weight and shape. They can carry memory, intention, even spiritual presence. What you bring into your space, wear on your body, or accept from another person can become a gateway, an open door between the physical and the unseen. Witches and those who operate in hidden realms know this well. While many people dismiss spiritual realities as superstition, those who practice manipulation or spiritual control rely on that very ignorance to work unhindered. An object is not merely a thing, it is often a vessel. It can be imbued with energy, spoken over, dedicated to purposes unseen by the natural eye. Something as small as a ring or as simple as a candle can serve as a spiritual anchor point. When a person with knowledge and intent places that object into your possession, especially under the guise of affection or goodwill, they are not always giving you a gift. Sometimes they are planting something, planting confusion, delay, sickness, distraction, or even bondage. The danger does not always lie in dramatic curses or rituals. In fact, the most effective spiritual traps are subtle. A beautiful bracelet given by a friend whose life is filled with chaos and bitterness may seem harmless. But if that item has been marked through bitterness, envy, or deliberate spiritual practice, it can bring a heaviness into your life that cannot be explained by logic. You begin to notice a shift. Dreams become restless. Relationships grow tense. Progress slows. You pray and fast, but nothing breaks, because the entry point remains inside your home or on your body. There are also items that carry the residue of where they've been. Antiques, hand-me-downs, souvenirs from unknown places. They often come with spiritual fingerprints. Just as a room can hold the memory of a violent event, so too can an object carry the essence of grief, rage, lust, or despair. The object becomes a beacon in the spiritual realm, signaling an open access point to those who operate in darkness. It becomes a permission slip, often one you didn't know you signed. This is why discernment is not optional. Not every beautiful thing belongs in your home. Not every gift should be accepted. Not every artifact is safe, no matter how rare or expensive it might be. Sometimes clearing your spiritual atmosphere begins with clearing your physical space. You don't need to live in fear, but you do need to live awake. Pray over what you receive. Pay attention to what changes after something new enters your life. What looks like a harmless object might, in reality, be a gate left wide open. inviting in what you never intended to host. Secrets have a weight that is not always visible, but often deeply felt. We live in a world that romanticizes vulnerability and confession, urging us to be open, to share, to build intimacy through disclosure. And while honesty has its sacred place, not all secrets shared are meant to heal or bond. Some come wrapped in darkness, and when they are handed to you, they are not just confessions, they are curses in disguise. There is a spiritual transaction that takes place when one person entrusts another with a secret, especially one born from sin, trauma, or hidden darkness. A secret carries energy. It is not a passive thing. It holds emotion, history, and spiritual residue. When someone shares a secret with you, particularly with the motive of unburdening themselves, they are not always offering trust. Sometimes they are transferring weight. They are offloading what they can no longer carry, and by telling you, they make you a co-owner of their burden. You didn't ask for it. You may not even understand the full story, but now it's yours, and the consequences can begin to ripple. Witches, manipulators, and emotionally broken people alike understand the power of shared secrets. To reveal something dark and intimate is not always an act of honesty. It is often a form of entanglement. Once someone tells you their secret, you are tethered to them. You have knowledge that implicates you emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. You may find yourself thinking about them more often, worrying about outcomes, feeling a sense of duty or guilt that wasn't there before. And if that secret was never meant to be yours, it will begin to rot inside of you. It seeps into your peace, erodes your clarity, and clouds your discernment. There are also secrets that come with unspoken expectations, and now that you know you must protect me, you must never leave. You must agree with my silence, and so the secret becomes a cage. You were free before, but now you are responsible. Responsible not just for the truth, but for someone else's choice to hide it. Over time, this can corrupt your sense of righteousness, You begin to justify things you once would have called evil. You excuse actions that are clearly wrong, all because you were told in confidence. The line between compassion and compromise blurs, and then there are spiritual consequences. Some secrets are tied to curses, generational wounds, occult involvement, or deep trauma. When these are shared without wisdom, prayer, or discernment, they act as invitations. Spirits that once harassed one person now have access to two. You find yourself under attack, confused or emotionally heavy without any obvious reason. The doorway was the conversation. The invitation was your agreement to listen without covering yourself in truth and protection. Not every secret is meant to be heard. Not every confession is hope. Some come to infect, not to heal. Discernment is required, not just about what you share, but what you allow yourself to receive. Because secrets, like seeds, grow, and what grows in darkness often carries a cost. An invitation is rarely just a simple request to be present. It often carries with it a pull, subtle, sweet, persuasive. On the surface, it may look like a harmless gathering, a casual event, or a well-meaning get-together, but behind some invitations lies a spiritual redirection. One step off the path, one moment out of alignment, and your course can be altered. Invitations can derail destiny, not always in dramatic, catastrophic ways, but in small shifts, seemingly insignificant detours that pull you just far enough away from where you were meant to be. Destiny is delicate. It does not unfold randomly. It is walked step by step in obedience to a call that often comes quietly. And because the enemy cannot steal your calling, he will try to distract you from it. What he cannot destroy, he will delay. One of the most effective ways to do this is through relationships and opportunities that appear harmless or even beneficial. You are invited somewhere, not realizing the timing is wrong. The people are out of alignment, or the spiritual atmosphere is tainted. You accept because it feels like a good thing. But not all good things are God things. There is a spiritual momentum that comes with staying on the right path. Every decision, every agreement, every yes and a no either strengthens your alignment with that path or pulls you subtly away from it. An invitation may introduce you to people who dilute your vision. It may expose you to environments that confuse your spirit. It may place you under influences that speak kindly but carry poison in their turn. Before long, you find yourself doubting what you once knew, questioning your pace, compromising your standards. You haven't fallen off a cliff. You've just started drifting. Witches, both literal and symbolic, understand this strategy well. They do not always lure with fear. Sometimes they charm with inclusion. Or come join us, or don't miss this. Everyone will be there. It feels like opportunity, it feels like community. But behind it, something waits. You might walk in with light and leave with heaviness. You might connect with someone who speaks the right words but carries the wrong spirit. That one meeting, that one interaction can plant a seed of confusion or disobedience that grows over time. Even in scripture, the pattern is clear. Timing and place matter deeply. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time can have consequences far beyond the moment. Some battles are avoided simply by not showing up. Some blessings are preserved because you said a no and everything in you wanted to say yes. There are invitations that come with invisible strings. Say yes to them, and you are pulled into obligations, soul ties, distractions, and spiritual debts that you never meant to take on. Your destiny does not disappear, but its fulfillment is delayed. The detour feels like life, but it's a rehearsal for something that was never meant to be yours. And every day spent off course is a day stolen from the journey you were born to walk. Empathy is one of the most powerful forces in human connection. It allows us to feel with others, to stand beside them in suffering, to offer a presence that heals without demanding. But like all sacred things, empathy can be twisted. Not all who offer their shoulder to cry on do so to lift you up. Some extend their comfort not to help you heal, but to keep you broken. False empathy is a parasite. It feeds on pain and disguises control as compassion. And when left unchecked, it can quietly drain the life from your spirit. The one who practices false empathy rarely looks dangerous. They often come in the form of a friend who understands everything, who listens endlessly, who always has time for your heartbreak. They seem like a safe place. But pay attention to the fruit. After every conversation, do you feel lighter or heavier? Do you feel strengthened or more dependent? Some people offer comfort that binds you to your weakness. They reaffirm your pain over and over again, not so you can move through it, but so you remain in it, and in their orbit. Witches, manipulators, and emotionally damaged souls often use false empathy as a spiritual tool. They mirror your emotions with such accuracy that it feels supernatural. You think, they get me. They're the only one who understands. But this kind of mirroring is not always love, it's entrapment. Once you rely on someone to constantly affirm your suffering, they begin to shape how you see yourself. Your identity becomes linked to your pain. And they, conveniently, become the only one who gets that version of you. The danger lies in the invisible transfer that takes place. When you pour your emotions into someone who is not equipped to carry them, or worse, someone who feeds off them, you don't walk away lighter. You walk away emptier. False empathy creates an emotional dependence that looks like intimacy but is actually spiritual leeching. The person who always has time for your complaints, your confusion, your fear, they may not be there to heal you. They may be there to keep you in a loop where your soul never fully recovers, and what starts as emotional connection can become spiritual bonding. You start to second-guess yourself without their input. You delay decisions because they haven't spoken into them. You begin to crave their presence, not because it brings peace, but because it quiets your anxiety for a moment. That moment, though, costs you your autonomy. It costs you your discernment. Your emotional clarity becomes clouded, not because you're weak, but because someone has built a false shelter around your wounds and called it friendship. False empathy always feels gentle, but it is anything but harmless. It convinces you that healing is impossible and that comfort is enough. It trades your growth for your loyalty. And slowly, silently, it drains your strength, not with harshness, but with endless softness that keeps you from ever standing on your own.